Okay. Making sure there's no echo. Awesome. Let's get started. So share my screen. Hey, Scott, welcome.
Hi.
Back in the land of the living, are we?
Only just. I've been crook all day. I've been asleep on the lounge the last 4 hours.
Poor thing. Hello, welcome. Let's get started. We've just gone live into the group. So I'm just going to share my screen. Just one sec. Hang on. I just love technology. Not my friend. All right. Okay, share my screen. All right, just give me a sec. There we go. All right, everyone can see my screen? Perfect, welcome, welcome. So today I wanted to take some time today to share with you guys how important our thoughts are and how our inner potential comes directly from the way we think and how we can actually overcome our negative thoughts. So today we're going to learn a few different things. One, how to recognize your thoughts, where they're coming from, and also then how to maybe pivot them and change them a little bit. Because as our negative thoughts, they're detrimental to how we show up in life. And so it's really important that we are changing our thinking patterns. We've all heard the saying, what we think becomes, right? We all heard it? Yeah. Well, this is what it's about. If we keep thinking negative and that's kind of what we end up seeing in our world. So in order to change our 3D and our external world, we absolutely have to do things differently in here. So research estimates that we think about somewhere between 50,000 and 70,000 thoughts a day. Now that's a lot of thoughts. The good news is some of them are positive, they make us feel good. Some of them are neutral, so we don't even really notice them. But we do have a lot of negative ones. Now, these negative thoughts, we are more influenced to be negative. Society and news and all of these things kind of create us to think a little bit more on the negative side of it. So they reckon somewhere like 80% of our thoughts are negative. That's a crazy amount of negative thoughts, hey? Now we can all understand why what we think can actually influence how we feel. If we're having that many negative thoughts, it's no wonder that we feel not that great about our life. So a lot of people will find themselves, frequently engaging in negative self-talk. They tend to be more stressed. How does that happen? The more negative we are, so the more that we're talking negatively, we're thinking negatively, it significantly impacts our mental health. Because we constantly beat ourselves up. We're always focusing on our flaws or our failures, and all of these things can contribute to our anxiety. But what it also does is it also keeps putting us in the fight or flight response. So our reality is altered to create the experience of whatever it is we're looking at. That's how it works. And we don't tend to set goals. We don't tend to achieve as much in our life based on the fact that we think negatively, because we're always talking ourselves down, saying we're not good enough, we can't do this, we're not capable, all of these things. So what that then goes into, so here are just some statistics that I just wanted to share. 15% of Australians aged between 16 and 85 experience high levels of psychological distress. Probably, if I was to state, this has probably gone up, right? As society and everything that's been going on has been happening, this is going to have been increased. Women are more likely to experience high levels of psychological distress than men. 1 in 5 Australians aged between the age of 16 and 34 experience high or very high levels of psychological distress, right? So that they're big statistics, aren't they? And I'm sharing this with you to see, like, to show you that it's so important that we're really paying attention to our mind and our thoughts, because that is what is going to ultimately change how we're experiencing life. We don't want to be in psychological distress. We don't want to be one of these statistics. So I've helped, part of what I do is I help people shift their lives. And these are just some of the people that I've helped and some of the things that they've noticed in the changes that they've received within their lives. And, all of these things that we're going to learn today are things that I teach my clients so that we can experience what they've experienced. So a little bit about me. I am a mum of 2 wonderful boys. I'm also a mum to a really cute Frenchie. I've been in business for 20 years. I've traveled the world. I was a travel agent in a previous lifetime prior to kids and obviously what I do now. I've got a 20-year history of counselling, but I predominantly now am an advanced MACE practitioner, and I'm really passionate about connecting people back to their inner confidence. We deserve to live in the high levels of life. Happiness, enthusiasm, honesty, integrity. That's up here. If we've had children or we've got children, the little ones show it every day. They just pour out their joy of life. That's where we're meant to be. So anything less than that, we've just got some negative stuff activated. So as I said, I've helped thousands of people improve their emotional health and confidence and well-being over the past 15 to 20 years. Now, I want to kind of quickly now talk about you guys and how to get most out of what we're going to learn today. So I always say take notes. The reason being is we absolutely learn on different levels when we write things down. And so we can look back over the notes and then we can kind of jog our memory. Oh, that's right. That's what I meant to do. Or that's how we do that. Because often they say within a workshop or a webinar or any kind of learning, we actually only take away 20% of what we learn. So it's really good to take notes because we can go back and absorb the other 80. And now also too, if you have any questions, anything that you're not sure about, anything that I say that you want more information on, just pop it in the chat box. I do have my VA on here helping me along, and we will do my best to either I'll try and answer them as we go, or at the end we've got question and answers and I'll be able to answer whatever questions you have then. Also too, just making sure you're not distracted. I know it's a bit hard at this time of night when we've got other things going on, but if we could just, if you really want to learn and absorb, it's really good to just sort of be fully focused. The other reason why we want to be fully focused is when we've got 100% of our attention on a task, we're at our most efficient level. The problem is we often have our attention on lots of different tasks and therefore our efficiency kind of drops down. So we really want to be making sure that we are really focused on what we've got our attention on. I really hope now that you are ready to unleash your inner potential and embrace a more positive mindset with the learnings of how we're going to be able to do that for you. So I do have little notes here as well that I'm kind of prompting me to remind me to tell you what we're doing. So some of the things that we're going to go through in this webinar is understanding the power of our thoughts. A lot of people, we hear the statement, you are what you think, or you become what you think. But most people don't really understand how powerful our thoughts are. So I'm going to explain this in a little bit more detail so, you know, we can get back in charge and make sure that we are really trying to create more positive thoughts, which ultimately changes how we look and feel about our lives. The other thing that we're going to do is identify and challenge the negative self-talk. A lot of the times what we think, and who here has it, when you really, like in those quiet moments, you might hear the conversation, and it's a great conversation. You actually, like it's being, you're saying one thing and then you're answering it and then they're answering it, and you're having this whole internal dialogue on a topic or about something or someone, all in your head. Who's done that? Yeah. So we want to become aware of what is that conversation. Because left unchecked, that conversation will bring us down. It can pivot how we feel. It can change ultimately how we're viewing whatever it is that we're in the middle of doing. It will hold us back, stop us from achieving the goals and desires that we want. So being able to identify and challenge the negative self-talk. Because here's the other thing, just because you think it, just because it's in here, doesn't mean it's true. The problem is we believe it because it's in us. Well, I thought that, it must be true, right? So we want to learn how to question it. Almost like, really? Did you just say that? A lot of the ways that I get my clients to do this is to kind of give it a name, that voice, or give it a funny voice. It's very hard to take something serious when it's in the happy birthday tune. So next time you notice that you're beating yourself up, say it in the happy birthday tune. Think about it. Happy birthday to you. Think about saying something really mean to yourself in that tune. You're not going to take it seriously. The other thing is we want to cultivate self-compassion and positive affirmation. So we want to be able to take that negative thought and reframe it so it works more positively for us. And we want to also create an empowering environment. So we want to look around our life and our environment and where can we shift some stuff? Where can we maybe change some things that will help lift us up? You know, maybe we need to get outside a little bit more, or maybe we need to, you know, change some things around in our house in order just to shift that energy a little bit and kind of move it around, which also creates a more empowering feeling within us. And the last thing that we're going to give you is tools and resources to set you up for success. I'm going to show you. You right? Any questions?
Do you ever wonder maybe people just need cheerleaders?
Just need, sorry?
Cheerleaders?
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking it's just us four right now?
No, I'm also doing live in the group as well. So we've got some people that are in the group that are watching.
Okay.
But we also want to be our own cheerleader.
Yeah.
Right. And in order for us to do that, it's really important to really pay attention to that negative talk. A lot of the times we're not aware of it. We're not aware of what it is that we're thinking, but we might suddenly start feeling something. Or, you know, we might feel good and then all of a sudden we're not feeling that great. So to be able to break that down is being able to pay attention to what's going on in our head. As I said, we have between 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day. If we're not paying attention to some of them, they rule us. So understanding the power of thought is the role of self-talk in shaping our beliefs and our actions. If we talk ourselves in, I can do that, I am capable, I can, you know, then we're more likely to take action. What happens to our, almost like our brain, is when we say words like I can't,
yeah,
we are instantly kind of going shut down.
Yeah.
Right? So our brain kind of goes, oh, all right, well, we can't do that. I'm not even going to try to think how I could do it. A really good one to give that as an example is when people say, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. right? Instantly, as soon as you say that, you're going, oh, well, I can't. Well, no point. But when you can change it and go, all right, how can I afford it? What that does is it starts getting your creativity going, and you start to think about, oh, okay, well, how can I afford that? You know, do I maybe need to sell some stuff, or do I maybe need to do a few extra hours at work? Or, you know, there's all ways that so just being mindful of our language alone will help shape our belief systems, and what we believe, it creates our actions. Because if we believe we can't do something, we're not going to do it. Right? That's simple. It sounds simple. It is, but it's not. It does take work to pay attention to our thoughts. So, you know, and we want to be exploring the impact of our negative self-talk, which overall affects our well-being. So it's really crucial to minimize and overcome that negative self-talk for a number of reasons. Our mental health well-being. Negative self-talk can significantly impact our mental health. No? It can just make us feel really bad. Low mental health impacts our actual health, our body. You know, all of these things get influenced by what we're thinking. Yeah, we think things like, oh, I'm so fat, or oh, I can't, you know, I can't do that exercise, or what's the point? Any of these sorts of very generalized thoughts, which sounding on their own don't sound like a lot, but when you're adding them up and you're putting them all together, you've got a massive story that then you're playing out in your life. Does that kind of make sense? So I want to share with you some of the most common negative thoughts. And what I want you to do is I want you to think about, oh, which ones do I say? No, I'm not good enough. That's pretty universal. That's quite a common one. I always mess things up. Nobody likes me. I'm a failure. There's another one. I can't do it. I'll never succeed. I'm so stupid. I don't deserve happiness. Now, each and every single one of these are decisions that we've made unknowingly. The problem is that when we unknowingly make these decisions, we actually become that lesser person. And then we play that out in our world. So it's not like you're running around saying, I'm so stupid, but how that might show up is the lack of belief or trust in yourself to go do something like put up your hand for a promotion, for example. Here are some others. So I'll never be as good as others. I'm too ugly, too fat, too dumb, too whatever to be loved. I'll never get it right. I'm a burden to others. I'm not talented or smart enough. Now, some of these are going to be hitting home for some of you guys. So I want you to have a think about which one of these kind of I can relate to. And I want you to pick one, or if you've got another one, and I want you to write it down, because we're going to do something with it later. Every single one of these negative thoughts will influence you. As I said, you make these decisions because every single one of these thoughts is a belief that you have that you are then living out. You're becoming that lesser person. And you act it out on the stage of life. And this is what it can look like in life. So these are some of the things it can look like. So you wish things could be different, but have no idea how, so you're stuck in the pain and financially nothing gets better. Or you often find yourself feeling really stressed and worried and unable to engage with your children, or you've got heaps of distractions. You're really struggling with feelings of sadness, depression, anxiety, because all of these negative thoughts will impact these aspects of your life. Maybe you get really overwhelmed really quickly, right? Maybe you're really reactive and you say and do things in the moment that you kind of wish you didn't. Or maybe you've attempted to resolve certain issues or patterns in your life, but you find they keep coming back up over and over again. And that leaves you feeling stuck and frustrated. So there's some of the ways that it will show up in your life. So identifying and challenging the negative self-talk. Recognizing common patterns and triggers of negative self-talk. So what does that mean? Well, to be able to recognize a common pattern and a trigger is, you know, do you talk to yourself about in a certain way around a particular topic? Maybe it's around money, or maybe it's around your relationships, or maybe it's around your work. So it's recognizing these common patterns that you might have that will activate these thoughts that then in turn lead into your behavior. By practicing awareness and mindfulness, what that does is it's being able to break free from these negative thought cycles. So you can't change what you don't know. And it's what we don't know that kind of gets us into trouble in the first place. You know, when we're being really reactive in life, it's because we're being driven by other things other than our true self. And it's packed up with these negative thoughts, patterns of behavior, and also our negative feelings. So in order to break free from these negative thoughts, one, we got to be aware of them. We've got to start paying attention to what we're thinking. So strategies for questioning and challenging the validity of our negative thoughts. Here's the thing, as I said before, just because you think it doesn't make it true. Right? Just because you think it doesn't mean you have to believe it. We want to be able to pay attention to the thought and go, is this actually helping me? Does this thought actually do anything for me? Because when you engage in self-criticism or self-doubt, being able to recognize these thoughts is the first step in challenging them. Questioning the validity. So when negative thoughts arise, by questioning their validity, you ask yourself, is this thought based on fact or assumptions? Often negative self-talk is rooted in distorted perceptions. That negative self-talk has been created because you made that decision. And a lot of our negative self-talk is no different to what you thought the day before, or the day before, or the year before, right? We actually keep repeating the same thoughts over and over and over again. They're not new. You're not thinking anything new. You're thinking the same thought. But the more you keep thinking the same thought, the more you're going to create the same thing. So we want to, you know, be able to question and challenge the validity of these negative thoughts. So how do we do that? Well, once you've identified a negative thought, and I gave you some examples just before, you start to challenge it. So you want to gather evidence that contradicts it. For example, if you have a negative thought of, I'm useless, then you want to start gathering the evidence of where have you achieved things. They don't have to be big achievements. They can be small achievements. If you're a mum, you've achieved having children. You know, if you've worked your way up in your career, that's an achievement. So there's lots of different ways that we can really look at how to question and break down these negative thoughts, because you want to look for things that you've succeeded at, or that you've received positive feedback in, or that you've been able to show your abilities. The other thing we want to be able to do is you want to be able to offer yourself compassion, right? If you actually paid attention to some of your negative thoughts, I bet you any money you would not say them to your best friend, but you're saying them to you. You want to learn to replace that self-criticism with a bit of self-compassion. You want to talk to yourself like you would if you were your best friend. We all make mistakes. No one is perfect. But it's being able to embrace and take care of yourself and have that compassion that it's okay to have made mistakes and have some imperfections. We're human. We then want to learn how to reframe the thought. So you want to take the negative thought and kind of reframe it into more of a positive one. For example, I'm a failure, right? That's a pretty big one. But you can actually reframe that to, I faced a setback and I can learn from it and I can try again. So it's being able to shift some of these things. Cultivating self-compassion and positive affirmation. So yeah, so being able to speak in a positive way to ourselves. One of the ways that we do that is, as I said, we reframe it, but using the positive affirmations, you want to create a list of positive things that will counter out your negative thoughts. So when you think about some of the negative things you might say to yourself, I'm not good enough, is that really a true statement? When you're saying I'm not good enough to yourself, who are you comparing yourself to? Who are you saying you're not good enough for? So you're repeating our positive affirmations so you know what, I am good enough. That will regularly, by saying this on repetition, it will reinforce a positive mindset. You'll start to pivot the negative thought. Now, if you look on it on a neuroscience science kind of basis, is you're creating a new neuron pathway. So what you're doing is you're breaking the old circuit of the negative pattern of that self-talk, and you're reframing it to a bit more positive and questioning it. So you're trying to grab some facts, and you want to rebuild the positive. So you're going to start to build that positive mindset by repetition. And as you repeat that positive mindset, that positive statement, you're going to create that new neuron pathway. And eventually this old one kind of breaks down a little bit. So over time, this one gets stronger, this one gets weaker. And that's kind of what you're creating to do. So it's about paying attention to what is it that I'm saying to myself. Now, one of the things I get a lot of my clients to do is stick a rubber band on their wrist and give it a flick every time they notice a negative thought, because that helps you break the circuit of that negative thinking, and then you can deliberately choose a positive thought. You can only have one thought at a time. So if you're not paying attention, what's happening is you've got the thoughts going over and over and over and over and over again. Don't repeat. It's like one of those record players that keeps going and keeps playing and playing and playing. You have to pick it up and change it. And in order to do that, you have to have awareness of it, which means you've got to start paying attention. What did I just think? What did I just say to myself? Is that true? What are some of the facts? What are some of the things that could actually be going, like be proving that it's not true? Where does it say that I'm not good enough, for example? So the importance of self-compassion is so, like, it's vital in combating self-talk. You have to, it's really important that you hold that compassion, that you're not trying to be perfect, that, it's okay to make mistakes. Treat yourself like you would your best friend. Talk to yourself like you would someone you love. Because I can tell you now, you talk to them like that, you've got to start talking to you like that. So it's really important to talk to yourself with compassion and love. Be kind to you, because then that's going to help you feel better. And through that feeling better, things are going to start to change in your world. So another thing techniques for showing kindness and understanding towards ourselves. There's lots of ways we can do this. It's being gentle, it's being kind, it's being compassionate, it's being able to kind of give yourself a break, like you have standards, but it's being able to go, it's okay, I slipped up, I'll do better next time. Being able to pay attention to our thinking, how we're looking at our life. If we're beating ourselves up because life isn't quite how we want it to be, then those constant thoughts of, look, my life sucks. It's not where I want it to be. I've got all this debt. I don't have a job. What happens is you're putting your attention and focus there, and wherever your attention is, your focus is, your energy flows. So what ends up happening is you kind of create more of it. So it's not ignoring that you've got debt, or it's not ignoring that things aren't quite going quite the way you want in life, but it's about going, okay, I'm aware that that's happening, but how can I talk to myself and think to myself to shift and change that? And that's where you start. Harnessing the power of positive affirmations to reframe your thoughts. Now, sometimes it's not about going, oh, I'm so happy, when you really feel miserable, because you're not going to believe it. But it might be, you know, these things make me happy. Or I actually smiled today and that felt good. Or it might be, I'm on my way to feeling happy. Or you know what, I do get some joy out of little things. So see how we're not going, I'm never going to be happy. We're actually shifting it and reframing it. Hopefully this is all making sense. And then we want to create an empowering environment. So we actually want to create an environment that lifts us up. You know, who are we hanging around? What are the things that we're watching on TV? What are the things that we're reading? All of these things will influence how you choose to think. And what we're thinking is that self-talk. All of those words that run around in your head, that inner critic, that inner mean girl, that person that keeps beating you up, if you actually pay attention, that is influenced by what's going on in your world. So by having a look at, am I watching the news too much? Am I doing, you know, hanging out with really negative type people? Is everything always doom and gloom for me? Am I doing things that actually are joyful? Like, what is it that you're doing in your world that can help lift you up a bit more? You want to surround yourself with supportive individuals and communities. So having a look at who you hang around. Now, the statement is that you are the average of the top 5 people you hang around. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean who you hang around in, like in your world. That could be the people who you follow on social media, the conversations that you're having, the type of people you talk to. They all influence you and how you think. The other one is strategies for setting healthy boundaries and managing external influences. So what this means is you got to be able to just no, saying no, being able to step back and go, actually, you know what, this isn't really healthy for me. I need to be really mindful of my mindset and keep talking to myself positively. Engaging in activities that boost self-esteem and promote a positive mindset. So it's finding the things that bring you joy. Now, one of the things I get my clients to do is to write out a bucket list. Write out the things that you want to do, not you and your family or you and your kids or you and your friends, you. Write it out. What is it that you want to do and achieve in your life? Now, you may not tick all that bucket list off, but there's a couple of things that gets to doing. One, it starts getting you focused on you. But what it also does is when you start to do some of those activities and you're doing them because you want to do them, they make you feel good, you start to raise your energy. You start to feel better about yourself. And the more you feel better about yourself, the more that boosts your self-esteem, and it kind of promotes more of a positive mindset. Being able to move our bodies, being able to, you know, go for a walk into nature will automatically start to lift you up. And when you're starting to do things that make you feel good, your self-esteem will rise. So here are some tools and resources for a long-term success. Self-reflection exercise. You want to challenge that underlying belief. How do we do that? So I gave you some of those. So let's just go with the common one, which is I'm not good enough. Or you can get some help, which we can talk about in a bit. But I want to just quickly show you how that self-reflection exercise, what are some of the tools that you can use? You can question it with the why technique. How do we do that? We start to unpack these thoughts. Awareness is key. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. Okay? Then how we do that is when negative self-talk arises, you ask yourself why. I'm not good enough. Why? Why are you not good enough? Because I didn't do well at school. Okay. So then you want to dig even deeper. Ask yourself, why does it matter that you didn't do well at school? What's going on? Why you feel that way? And you continue to ask down until you get to the core feeling. That says core belief, but it's actually the core feeling, because that belief is a statement. That core feeling is what's driving the whole entire thing. You get rid of that, you will no longer be under the influence of any of those negative thoughts, any of that negative behavior, because you've gotten rid of the cause. And that is the one thing that I can absolutely help you with. Getting to that cause and getting rid of it really, really quickly. But there are some ways of being able to break that down. Another way is to really have a look at breaking down that statement and putting it into, evidence for and evidence against. So you want to challenge that negative belief. Where did it come from? Who said it to you? How long has it been around for? Where's the proof that it's true? Where's some evidence that kind of proves it wrong? This will help you bring objectivity and balance to your beliefs. And you just do one at a time. It's not overloading, but it's breaking it down and doing, as I said, one at a time. So what I'm kind of wrapping it all up is we are not our thoughts, right? Negative self-talk limits us, it hinders us, it stops our personal growth, it stops us from achieving the things that we really desire and want to achieve. We want to transform our mindset and embrace a more positive and empowering narrative. So the more positive we talk about ourselves and our world, the better that we're going to feel. The better that we feel, the better that good things start to come. It creates a new cycle. So by recognizing and challenging your negative thoughts and creating and cultivating self-compassion and, creating an environment that nurtures you, you can break free from this self-doubt and unlock your true potential. So if any questions or answers, so Froylan, I think you're going to pop in and have a look live. While that's sort of going, what I want to share with you quickly is also too, as an absolute bonus for you today, and this is, no one knows this yet, I haven't released it. So for you guys joining me here on the live or on the Zoom, we are offering a prize draw being drawn next Thursday, where you get a month's worth of free sessions with me of Mace, where we can unpack and get rid of some of these negative thoughts and belief systems that you've got that are holding you back in life. So if you are keen and you would like to go in this prize draw, we just need to just drop your email in the chat or in the comments on Facebook, and we will put you in the prize draw. Now, as the bonus to say thank you so much for kind of being around and watching this and listening and hopefully taking some of this new information on, when you give us that email, we will actually drop it in for a second chance. So you will actually have 2 opportunities in that to go into that prize draw for you to win 3 free sessions with me. As I said, we can absolutely get rid of any negative thoughts, feelings, or behaviors permanently and extremely quickly with just a few sessions. Also, too, if you want to share that with a friend and get them to go in the prize draw, you will also get another chance of winning. So you've got lots of different ways of being able to get your name in that draw, and hopefully you will win the 3 sessions that go for over a month, and I look forward to sharing that with you. So we do have, so we want to really be able to unpack that. Hopefully, if anyone has any questions, let me know. Froylan, do we have any questions?
We don't have yet.
Nope, all good. So I do have one in the chat, and it's just saying not good enough is always their belief. So yeah, not good enough, as I said, is a real common one. And it's what we don't know that we don't know. So we don't necessarily know where it came from. We just know how it's playing out in our life and holding us back. So if you've got a negative belief or a negative thought like not good enough or any of those other ones that I showed you, have a think about what would life be like without it? What would life be like if you didn't have that not good enough? Right? It would certainly change a lot. So we could get rid of that for you. How different would your life be? So if you'd like an opportunity to win the package that's going in for the prize draw next week to help get rid of that, then absolutely drop your email in and we will get you into the prize draw. But if there's no other questions, I would like to say a very warm thank you so much for your time tonight. I really hope you learned something and you were able to take on board some of the things and just be able to pay attention to what you're thinking, realize that just because you're thinking them, that's not always true. And if you start to question them and really break them down, you can actually disempower them to the point where you can get rid of them. And then that will put you back in charge so you can actually start creating the life you really want to have, as opposed to one that you keep thinking to have. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye. Bye.
Bye.